What's up, Rad Family? I've been racking my brain trying to come up with the scariest, most interesting ideas I could possibly think of for our third annual Halloween Fest. And the one thing that kept coming to mind was real. Because what's scarier than horror movie plots in real life? So throughout the month of October, I'll be bringing you videos that are real, creepy, and terrifying events that will be sure to leave your nightmare fuel tank overflowing. For the very first episode of Halloween Fest this year, I am bringing you 10 cases of possessions throughout history that have been claimed to actually have happened. So let's get to it. Demonic possessions can be traced back centuries ago, but even though time has changed many things, the claims that supernatural beings can take control over a person's body has withstood the test of time. Though reports of possessions can be found all over the world in many different religions, there is a list of common signs and symptoms believed to tell that an evil being is lurking within. Unexplainable scratches and bite marks, inhuman body positions, multiple voices coming from the same person, and a violent reaction to anything religious are just a few of the notable. These 10 people, though their experiences take place over hundreds of years and thousands of miles apart, share striking similarities in their reported cases that will cause a chill to run down your spine. Number 10, Anna Eklund. Born in 1882, Anna was said to have started to show signs of being under demonic influence at the young age of 14 when she became visibly upset by anything religious. She was deemed fully possessed around the age of 26 when her symptoms grew to be torturous for the young woman. Seeking the help of an exorcism to rid her body of the evil, things only got worse for Anna. During the ritual, it was claimed she became so incredibly strong, it required multiple people to restrain her so that they could continue. She was reported to have levitated in the air and defying gravity even further by clinging to the ceiling and the walls in a crouching position, something no human would be able to do. Even when she slept, she spoke in a voice not her own without her lips moving. But what makes her story stick out is what happened after the exorcism ended and thought to have been successful. Allegedly, her father and his mistress were enthralled with the black arts and wanted Anna to suffer unlike ever before. They called upon multiple diabolical entities to come back to his daughter to claim her soul. Even though her monster of a father died, his soul continued to plague her. She was then taken to a covenant to have another exorcism completed. Instantly, paranormal things began to happen there. But after a grueling 23 days, she was said to have been freed from the demons and regained control of her body. Number 9, Pat Reading. Taking place 200 years later in Connecticut, a mother named Pat was said to be under demonic possession. She would have violent outbreaks, report the feeling of something evil always being by her side, and unexplainable scratches and bruises on her body. The family even reported instances where large, heavy pieces of furniture suddenly flung across the room, and hearing unsettling noises coming from the attic even though it was empty. They turned to medical doctors and psychologists hoping for a logical explanation, but they received no comfort from the clean bill of health she was given. Desperate for relief, they sought out an exorcism. Unfortunately, that didn't prove to be helpful. Not wanting to give up, it is said she endured over a dozen separate exorcisms in her lifetime, but unfortunately to no avail. It's reported she died while still believing she was under the possession of a supernatural entity. Number 8, Roland Doe. This possession case is incredibly famous as it was the inspiration for the iconic novel and horror film The Exorcist. In the late 1940s, an unidentified young boy given the pseudonym Roland Doe was the subject of numerous newspaper articles describing a case of demonic possession. While not much has been confirmed about the boy's identity, a little bit of family history was disclosed that some believe give an explanation as to how the child became under demonic control. Allegedly, he was an only child who sought comfort in the close relationship he had with his aunt. As she believed ghosts could communicate with the living, she taught the young boy how to use a Ouija board before her death. After which, the family began to experience strange, frightening things happening in their house whenever he was around. Furniture would move by themselves and loud banging noises could be heard throughout the house, even though a source couldn't be found. The family turned to a priest for help. The exorcism took place at Georgetown University Hospital, but things didn't go as planned. At one point, the boy was able to free himself from the restraints, and he broke off a bed spring, which he then used to slash the priest's arm. Those that saw the ritual take place said the bed shook violently, as if done by an invisible force. Objects flew across the room by themselves, and words like hell and evil would suddenly appear to be carved into the boy's skin. According to one report, over 40 separate people witnessed the exorcism take place. Fortunately, the story doesn't end in tragedy, as reports claimed he went on to have a rather ordinary life. Number 7, Just Julia. I find this case particularly creepy because it was reported in a 2008 issue of the New Oxford Review by board-certified psychiatrist Dr. R. Gallagher. He documented the alleged demonic possession of a young woman to share what he witnessed because he said her actions could not be attributed to mental or physiological illness. What he reported is terrifying. The woman could levitate, she spoke in Latin even though she only knew English. She had psychic abilities. She knew information regarding those that entered her room even though she'd have no way to know such things. And she also had a seething disdain for anything sacred. During one instance, she remarked to one of the team members about how vicious the cat fight was the previous night. Why this is significant is because the team member was woken at 2 a.m. to their 2 cats attacking each other the night before, and they hadn't told anyone about it. During the exorcism, the room was said to have felt like a refrigerator even though it was the middle of June. And though the air was chilly, the heat that radiated off of Julia was said to be unbearable at some points during the ritual. And with her unnatural strength, animalistic growls, and speaking in voices beyond human control, Gallagher makes a haunting statement in his paper. Even those who doubt the possibility of demonic possession may find this case rather persuasive. Number 6, Michael Taylor. Michael Taylor was born in 1944 and made headlines for his alleged demonic possession in the murder case that took place in late 1974 England. Before the exorcism took place, Michael worked as a butcher and had an extramarital affair. While with his mistress, he told her he believed he had something evil lurking within him. His behavior began to worsen to the point he sought help from the local church. The ritual to expel the evil took place at a church and was a gruelingly long process that resulted in the expulsion of multiple evil entities. When 6 a.m. hit, everyone involved was beyond exhausted. Seeing as they felt about 3 demons were left inside his body, they thought it would be safe enough to send him home so that he could rest in his own bed. The 3 demons that were still intact: insanity, violence, and murder. When he returned home, instead of seeking rest, Michael violently attacked his wife. Using only his hands, he practically tore off her face, resulting in her tragic death. Naked and covered in her blood, he was found wandering the streets by police. Determining him to be insane, he was ordered to spend 2 years in a psychiatric hospital and 2 more years in a secure ward, eventually being set free only to be sent back to a psychiatric hospital after molesting a teenage girl and behaving in a similar erratic manner as he did when he murdered his wife. Number 5, Jorge Lukens. In 1788, at the age of 44, Jorge Lukens was said to be under demonic possession. after a woman came across him acting in a strange manner. She claimed he sang and screamed in multiple ways that didn't sound like they were produced by a human being. He claimed to have had these outbursts for nearly 2 decades of his life, which he believed began after being knocked down by an invisible entity during a Christmas pageant. After being hospitalized for nearly half a year, doctors determined his case was incurable, so he turned to the church for help. During his exorcism, 7 clergymen performed the ritual, during which he was violent, claimed to be the devil, and made animalistic shrieks. 7 demons were said to have been casted out of him, ending the exorcism and allowing the man to reportedly live a happy life. Number 4, David Glassell. In 1980, after moving into their new rental home in Connecticut, a family begins to experience paranormal happenings. At first, doors would slam shut, noises would come from the empty attic, and furniture would move on their own. Then they noticed their 11-year-old son David had become a target. After telling his family he saw an old man who spoke in Latin that said he was going to steal David's soul, they saw bruises, scratches, and bite marks appear on his body. His sister and mother even claimed to have witnessed David being choked by an invisible entity. Turning to Ed and Lorraine Warren, famed demonologists, for help, the duo determined David was in fact under the possession of multiple evil beings. David underwent 3 rituals to have his body rid of the demons. Reportedly during the exorcisms, David levitated, hissed, recited passages from the Bible, and predicted a brutal murder by the hands of Arnie Johnson, a fellow renter who lived in the same home as the family. After several days, the exorcism ended with David being freed from the demonic possessions. But that leads us to our next case. Number 3, Arnie Johnson. During the exorcisms of David, an eyewitness claimed to have seen Arnie invite a demon into his body to possess him. After David was determined to have been saved, some of the participants present claimed a demon fled from the child and entered Arnie. For several months, Arnie began to exhibit signs of demonic possession. His behavior grew erratic, he became violent, and he would make animalistic noises like growling. On February 16, 1981, Johnson called off of work and joined his wife, family, and landlord for a lunch at a bar. After drinking alcohol and leaving the bar, Johnson and the landlord got into a physical altercation, which ended with Johnson growling and stabbing the landlord several times, resulting in his murder, just like a possessed David predicted. The next day, Lorraine Warren called the local police to inform them of the events that had taken place several months before and that she believed he was possessed by a demon. The murder trial became a media sensation, being dubbed the "Devil Made Me Do It" case, after Johnson's lawyer tried to enter a plea of not guilty by virtue of possession, and thus denying any personal responsibility for the murder, the first known court case in the US to do so. The judge rejected the defense, citing it was unscientific, so the jury wasn't allowed to consider demonic possession as an explanation for the murder. He was then convicted of first-degree manslaughter. Number 2, the Amins Family. The possession story of the Amins family is the most recent case on this list. Taking place in Gary, Indiana in 2011, a family claimed to have experienced paranormal events after moving into a rental home. It began as small instances, like doors moving on their own, but quickly grew more terrifying when they began to hear voices, find wet footprints throughout the house, and the 12-year-old daughter was said to have levitated on top of her bed. They went to a medical doctor looking for answers, but they left with no diagnosis that could be blamed. But at the physician's office, a nurse claimed to have witnessed the 9-year-old son defy gravity by walking up a wall backwards, and another child being thrown across the room even though no one touched them. As things began to get worse for the family, they sought the help of clairvoyants to see if there was an explanation for what was happening. After inspecting the house, the clairvoyants claimed it was a demonic hotspot with roughly 200 demons residing inside it. The mother reported to authorities what was happening, and they began to investigate. It is reported that the children were temporarily removed from the home by the Department of Child Services while they investigated further into the situation and detailed the events in nearly 800 pages of official reports. The case's popularity grew when a police officer claimed to have taken a photo of the house, which appeared to have captured a demonic figure lurking in a window. The police captain who visited the family during the investigation was reported saying he was now a believer in demons after this case. After the family left the house, all paranormal events surrounding them stopped. Number 1. Anneliese Michel. The possession case of Anneliese Michel is arguably the most famous demonic possession case in all of history. Taking place in Germany in 1975, a young woman was believed to have been under demonic possession. A few years earlier, when she was just 16 years old, she was diagnosed with epilepsy and depression. She sought treatment at a psychiatric hospital, but her health only grew worse. When she was 20 years old, she claimed to have begun to see devil faces throughout the day and developed an intolerance to anything religious. Seeking numerous psychiatric treatments for disorders like schizophrenia and delusions, her family hoped she would improve with long-term care, but she did not. Anneliese and a family friend went to San Domino in hopes of a cure, but once there, she refused to walk past a crucifix or drink from a holy spring, leading them to believe she was possessed by an evil force. Her condition deteriorated rapidly after that. She became violent, introverted, she injured herself, and she even drank her own urine. Being of the Catholic faith, she enlisted the help of 2 priests who performed an exhausting 67 exorcisms in the span of 10 months. But tragically, her condition did not improve, and there is no happy ending for Anneliese. She died in July of 1976 from malnutrition and dehydration. Those involved with the rituals, including her parents, were charged with negligent homicide, and the case became a media frenzy. So now that I've shared 10 terrifying demonic possession cases that have been claimed to have really happened, I have a question to ask you. Do you think demonic possession is real? Make sure you leave me your answers down in the comments because I'd like to know what you think. I might be a skeptic, but I sure as hell still don't want to be in a room with someone that claims to be possessed. If you're excited for Halloween Fest, please give this video a big thumbs up. And if you're not yet part of this radtastic community, well, what are you waiting for? Hit the subscribe button and join today. Until next time, keep up the radness, and I'll see you real soon. Bye!